City Talks with Reuben Abati.
Today we'll be discussing the recent decision by the Nigerian government to increase police salary and emoluments. And our guest is someone who had worked in this area, who had been an activist and an advocate in this particular area and subject. Segun Awosanya, convener, NSAS Reform Police NJ. He's also president and founder Social Intervention Advocacy Foundation, SIAF. Segun Awosanya, popularly known as Segalink, is Nigerian socio-political activist, real estate broker, and broadcast engineer. He had his nursery and primary education at Bright Star Nursery School in Ojota, Lagos. After completing his primary education, he proceeded to Ojota Secondary School, where he obtained his secondary school certificate examination certificate. In 1996, he gained admission to study estate management in the School of Environmental Sciences in Yaba College of Technology, and he completed his ordinary national diploma. In 2000, he gained admission into the Department of Estate Management, Faculty of Environmental Sciences, from where he graduated in 2005. Segun holds a master's degree from the Department of Estate Management, University of Lagos. He is currently researching his PhD thesis on environmental sustainability, while pursuing other areas of interest pertaining to criminal law, artificial intelligence, and autonomous cars and mobile app development and digital business management and advisory across platforms. Segun Awosanya is also the co-founder and chief executive officer of Aliens Media, a futuristic brand, media and technology initiative climbing in the lead of the technology consumer business world with its revolutionary approach to diverse business solutions and training. Being a human rights activist, Segalink has been a voice of an average Nigerian fighting against injustice. He uses the media as his major podium for intercepting and defending anybody, pursuing the interests of anybody who is treated unjustly. Segalink became popular as a founding father of the NSAS movement, #NSAS movement, a campaign pushing against police brutality and scrapping of the unit of police force Special Anti-Robbery Squad since 2017. If you want to be part of this conversation, you can call us on 0700-1051-1051. You can also leave comments on WhatsApp 09099164403 and on our social media accounts at CT1051 on Zoom and Facebook. Well, if you have joined us, Segun Awosanya, thank you for being part of this conversation. Good afternoon. Hello? Okay, well, looks like, Segun Awosanya has not joined us yet, but if you are listening to me, you can join us via phone. Just make a phone call to the studio. And, maybe your phone should be on, because in the last few minutes we tried to reach you, and your phone was saying that your phone was off. If you cannot reach us via Zoom, then, of course, you just keep your phone on so that we can have this conversation. Our guest is Segun Awosanya. In addition to all the things I've said about him, he was also a member of the Justice Doris Okuwobi panel on police brutality and the incident at the Lekki toll gate on October 20, 2020. One of the major issues in that NSAS protest was police welfare. The people said, well, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad may have been problematic, but part of the solution will be to look into the welfare of police people. But long before October 2020, Segun Awosanya and others had led a struggle to say that part of the problem with Nigeria was police reform, and that the Special Anti-Robbery Squad was an issue, and that there were steps to be taken. And Segun Awosanya, Segalink, as is popularly known, had gone ahead to see, how this could be addressed. But while I continue to wait for him to join us in the studio, we'd like to throw the lines open. You have heard that the police in Nigeria, they've now been promised 20% salary increase. They will also get other emoluments, and this has been advertised as part of the commitment of the Buhari administration to support policemen and to further deepen the administration's response to the security situation in the country. If you want to be part of this conversation, we can have an open mic session in case Segun Awosanya has changed his mind about joining us. You can join us or call us on 0700 1051 1051. And you can also leave comments on WhatsApp 090 991 64403. You can also join us on social media at City1051 on Zoom and Facebook. The police, they are going to get more money. They are going to get allowances paid. They are probably also going to get better barracks. But will that change anything? The line is open. We'll take a short break. Someone is already on the line. Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Very good. Good morning. Yes, thank you.
I hear your program already now.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead. Your name, your location.
I'm Say Atomoli. So I hear your program already now. If anybody want to participate?
Yes, please go ahead. Hello? Hello? The caller says he's from Omole, but I can't hear a word here in the studio. Hello? Hello, please, can you call back in case you are hearing me? Looks like there is a terrible technical crisis here in the studio, and the engineers are running helter-skelter.
Hello?
Yes? Hello, yes, I can hear you now.
Good afternoon, Reuben Abati.
Yes. You are calling that name as if you attended my naming ceremony. Anyway, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say that I think it's a welcome development, but all I want us to understand that I want to appeal to the Nigerian police, especially the hierarchy. It is not only just giving them the salary. I mean, we are putting it on paper. They should make sure that they make sure that they rank and file, they get their money as and when due. Because I remember that just 2 months ago, we were making understand that at the end of November or October salary are going to be paid to the police, allegedly. But you can imagine if the Nigerian police cannot collect their salary. I mean, they are not going to be happy. And that they have increased that. They should make sure that these salaries are paid as and when due. And not only that, they should look at their uniform, their weapons, their uniform, their boots, and all the things they are using. Because you can't imagine in those days in the Abati, when you see Nigerian police force, you want to identify with them. Why? Because of the way their uniform is unique. You don't khaki in those days with their blue on top. So you are happy to look at them and say, I want to be a Nigerian police. But today, the story is many of them are buying uniform by themselves. Many of them are buying things they are using. It doesn't work well. You talk about the fuel. They are the one buying fuel to fuel the vehicle they are using the police. It's not it's uncalled for. I think the government should do more than what they have done now. It is a good beginning. God bless Nigeria in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take more calls as we discuss this subject. But one major concern is that, look, this is not the first time that the Nigerian government will claim that attempts have been made to review salaries. It happened in 2018, it happened in 2020, it happened also June 2021, when the president said, police salaries will be increased. Up to this moment, the salaries have not been increased. Is this the consolidation of those earlier three efforts? But it looks like Segun Awosanya is already here. The engineers have been able to sort out whatever confusion they were struggling with. Segun Awosanya, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, what is on the line?
Hello? Okay, someone else is
Hello,
on the
what is
line.
on the line?
Yes, please go ahead before we go to our guest. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I very appreciate you, Mr. Reuben Abati, Dr. Reuben Abati, for your program. We are listening and we see what is going on. See, let's say Nigerian government they are increasing the salary of this police brutality and co, whatever they call them. What of the roadblock? Because in my area, in the Lakwe side now, they used to get one day, let's say, on a daily basis, they are making 500,000 without getting to government. If they increase this salary, are you telling me that this government, this police will not continue this business? For God's sake, Nigeria police, I don't know what to do. Whether we cancel it and name it another thing, we do it entirely, we name it another thing entirely. They are entirely disgrace for this nation. I'm very sorry to say that, which is embarrassing to us as a citizen. It is totally disgrace. I don't know what to do. If they increase that to 100% salary itself, they will still continue to do all this rubbish, which is not done. It does not favor the government. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. But very quickly, I would like to move to Segun Awosanya, who I can see on the laptop to my left. And as I said earlier, I mean, this was a man who led the struggle for police reform in Nigeria. He may not have gone to the barricades at the Lekki toll gate, but he and his group, under the hashtag EndSARS project, did a lot of work to ask for better welfare for policemen. And he's here. I see the dashboard blinking furiously. But Segun Awosanya, you are welcome to the program. I would like to listen to you first. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reuben. And I am Dr. Reuben Abati. Much respect. Thank you for being there from the beginning, from 2017, thereabout when the hashtag started, or even before the hashtag started, when we were on the research on finding a solution to the police conundrum, which is more or less our society's conundrum, or Nigeria's conundrum, if you like. And we know that for the life of the Nigerian police, this is the lowest we have ever found ourselves having in terms of the manpower for policing, that going down to the point of having 306,000 police officers in service, even as we speak, which is the lowest ever in the history in our democracy. As at we have more than that, as at 1999, when President Obasanjo, declared a state of emergency on recruitment of the police, where he said they should be recruiting 10,000 police officers per year in order to bridge that particular gap. And also the gap this year have been widened, because of the disputes between the IG and the Police Service Commission. So in order not to, and again, coupled with the opera, with the EndSARS protest and the public uprising and the mass protest and the rest, police morale has been dampened. And again, one of the demands of the protesters, or of those of the citizens of Nigeria and the youth of Nigeria who have decided, to confront the government, to engage the government enough to know that the police brutality protest and all, and the advocacy, as it were, is not just child's play. It concerns us. And we want the government themselves to take this very seriously, which is one of the reasons why they made it clear that they are not against the police. They are not asking for the total disbandment of the police. But what they are asking for is better welfare for the police and the end of police brutality. And with that, we found that the government themselves, before the protest itself, like I said earlier on your show, that we have already concluded on the reformation of the police, which was meant to be methodical, and also on the end of impunity by shutting down the tactical squads of the police and reforming them so that the ones we are going to have are going to work based on some legislative provisions which the Police Act 2020 has come to breach. In other words, it has come to democratize the entire police structure so that they can work for the people rather than the oppressive state in which they were as given to us or as inherited by the colonialists. So today we are having police salaries increment, just as demanded by our youth and as provided for by the engagement we've been having since 2017, which has now given police an opportunity to have 30 to 50% increase in their take-home salary. So we are not of the opinion or alluding to the fact that with the increase in salary of police, brutality will stop immediately, or with a single order from the president, brutality will stop immediately. We need the public to understand that we are engaging the culture of impunity. And as you know, culture is a way of life. Remember, police were drawn from the society themselves. And if impunity has become a culture based on the years of military interregnum that has impacted the entire society, the entire nation, and police is being drawn from the same society, you know that it's going to take a lot of stress, a lot of conscious effort and deliberate effort to wean the police off these primitive engagements, which is why new laws have been created, new operational procedures have been put in place, and a lot of monitoring and a lot of weeding is being done as we speak. And I'm glad that the presidency, the presidential police reform roadmap has kicked in to the point where we are beginning to feel the impact of the change that we have demanded, you know, that the youth of Nigeria have demanded, that the advocacy has been working on for years, you know, materializing with the people. We know also that there are times when we have, across institutions, not just the police itself, where we have a situation where we have wrong people in the right place. So, of course, a lot of things will be done in that regard, you know, so that whosoever becomes the IG or whosoever is appointed the new IG, based on the new Police Act, they will have something to work with. Not that they have something that is anachronistic to the provisions of the Constitution. So these are all the things that have been worked on in order to ensure that police have a sense of belonging that they've lacked. Police officers themselves feel like orphans in our society, that they are only chastised when they have done something wrong and they are never praised when they have done something right, despite the fact that they are working with almost nothing in their arsenal. And I also need to add this, sir, before I pause a little bit. Do you know that the lower rank military officers are exempted from taxes, but the police recruits pay taxes in Nigeria? Also, we need to highlight the fact that military has no contributing pension, but police pay up to 12% of their salary in contributory pensions. So these are some of the anomalies that need to be corrected so that police themselves can feel that sense of belonging and that sense of, you know, care from government and also from the people. And they can know that the people who fought for their independence, because they are also victims of the system, are the people themselves who they now need to submit to and to serve. Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. I will take questions so that I don't just continue.
Yes, well, Segun, I take it that you say this is a good, promising development, but it does not go far enough, in your view. There are other things that will still need to be done. You can correct me in case my summary is incorrect. However, I had raised a question before we came to you about what is the guarantee that this salary increment proposal or promise will be implemented. I mean, between 2018 and June 2021, this will be the third time, the fourth time actually. There was the promise in 2018, in 2020, and also June 2021. The administration promising we will increase police salary, but it never happened. What is the guarantee that it will happen this time?
This is not, you remember that the last time you asked me this same question, that what is the guarantee that police reform will work this time around, since we've been talking about it for many years. But I told you as at that time that the method through which this was being prosecuted, the advocacy is being prosecuted, is different from the method that it has been prosecuted over the years. So right now you can see that the reform itself is taking shape already. What we are talking about in the increment is not a promise. It is not a lottery. It is actually part of the presidential police reform roadmap, which is being executed. So it is not just a promise. It is something that is already being done. And it will be seen to be done with the testimonies of police officers who will come out to say, yes, I received extra on my salary. I received 30 to 50% increase, in my take home from the Nigerian government, based on the clamor of the Nigerian youth and the Nigerian citizens. So this is exactly the kind of feedback we want to hear. But there is a lot more to be done based on the provisions of the 2020 Police Act, which is being implemented and is being monitored by citizens as we speak.
Well, Segun, look, some policemen and other uniformed officers of the Nigerian state say that all these efforts are cosmetic. Because when it comes to salaries, whether it's the police or any other security agency, that we have an established tradition in Nigeria, whereby some superior officers receive salaries on behalf of the rank and file, and they keep the money there for months, and they do not pay salaries. So, I mean, again, about guarantee. What is the guarantee that these long-suffering policemen and other uniformed officers will get their salaries, and that superior officers will not turn their personal accounts into an extension of the office of the Accountant General?
Okay, sir. What I always want Nigerians to know and police officers to know is that people do not do what you expect. They do what you inspect. And because we are monitoring the process, we are not politicians. Neither are we. We're citizens of Nigeria who care about the welfare of the Nigerian police. Enough to know that without them having that confidence to serve their nation, we will not be secured, and we cannot guarantee a civilization or call ourselves a civilization, which is one of the reasons why it's paramount for us to ensure that this works. Now, before now, when we usually have them promise and fail, this is exactly what was plaguing the system then. There's something called envelope funding. Envelope funding is a system whereby, police have a budget. And when that budget is presented, what is budgeted is not what is approved. And what is approved is not what is released. And at the end of the day, what actually gets into the hands of the IG is what they can give us at that time. The IG can stroll into the presidency and they just say, okay, you know what? We just approved 100 million naira for you out of a budget of 1 billion or 10 billion. So you will quickly use that 100 million or 1 billion to do quickly what it can do, which is to pay salaries, which will never even go far. It won't even touch a lot of other things. It won't touch training, it won't touch equipping, it won't touch a lot of things. So with that, people believe, we had a lot of budget and their senior officers have stolen everything. So which is one of the reasons why we're saying end envelope funding. And you remember, as at last year, 2020, also 2019, the bill was passed, Police Trust Fund bill was passed, which was quickly ascended to by the president. And that Police Trust Fund bill is to also augment this budget issue so that we will not have the paucity of funds that will now cause a lot of strain on our police officers, which leads to a lot of unfulfilled promises. So right now, we are monitoring the system and we will surely raise alarm if anything is going to fail ahead of time before our police officers realize that we are back to square one. So this is being monitored, like I said, and we should be hopeful.
Okay, Segun, there's something I would like you to help me clarify. You'll recall that during the NSAS protests in October 2020, the issue of welfare also came up. Some people have said what has happened now is a form of victory for the NSAS protests and the panels of inquiry that were set up by the Nigerian government across the country. Do you share that view? Now, one of the other recommendations by the NSAS protesters at Lekki Tollgate was psychological examination for policemen, because many average Nigerians believe that Nigerian policemen are crazy and that they should go for psychiatric evaluation on a regular basis. And before you joined us, when we were taking calls, one guy brought it up and said, okay, you give these people more money. Is that going to stop extortion and harassment at the toll gate, at the checkpoints across the country. Could you just respond to those two posers?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sure many Nigerians will still remember that I'm a member of that judicial panel of inquiry in Lagos. And most of the recommendations are things that have been in the front burner of the advocacy even long before the protests happened. And one of the things I believe in any civilized society should be put in place is that when you find men wielding AK-47 on our streets, especially in a nation that is not at war against itself, there must be extra caution to ensure that those men or those officers understand the rules of engagement. They understand non-kinetic engagement. They understand the force order. They understand every single operational protocols that guides their handling of their weapon. But in a situation where we've been recording a lot of cases of the abuse of the use of firearms and the rest, we found that there is a critical need for psychological evaluation of anyone who is going to be assigned a firearm in the Nigerian police system. But again, all these things are very nice on paper. When it comes to operational implementation of these policies and this recommendation, it also requires a lot of funds to be injected into the system for this to be carried out. Remember that the protest itself was hinged on the advocacy, which had a main goal or a main objective of ending SARS. Remember, the end SARS there typifies the end of the culture of impunity. And to shut down the culture of impunity, like I said, it is not by fiat, by order, or something that can be done overnight. It has to be done, gradually, with constant iterations until the people who are within the system understand the rules of engagement. So with this, it requires a lot of training and retraining. It requires a lot of weeding. There are cancerous nodes that needs to be taken out, and there is a lot to be done, which has not even started as we speak. Because again, I can tell you right now, as I sit here, that the police budget has been passed to satisfactorily, really, to the point where police can now handle a lot of things that they are meant to handle based on the provisions of the Police Act 2020. So with that, I am saying that Nigerians should not hold their breath or wait for government policy or governments themselves to start dictating orders with the expectation of something to happen on ground. We ourselves should monitor the system. If we have police officers who are committing crimes, who are abusing the rights of citizens and all, they should still be reported. And investigations should still go on. The same prompt attempts that we have been experiencing since 2007, where police officers are brought to book for their offenses, are still in place, and they are still being monitored. So this is exactly what we are saying. We are not saying that with the increment in their salary and everything, corruption and extortion will stop overnight. But we will not stop engaging the system. We will not stop monitoring. We will not stop bringing police to book, and we will not stop ensuring that the entire provisions of the recommendation of the panel, as well as the provision of law, will be implemented to the fullest. This is exactly how we build a nation. And it takes all of us, not just government, not just politicians, not just activists, not just advocates, but every citizen of this country. Because if we fix the police problem, we have solved half of Nigeria's problem. Thank you, Dr. Abati.
Well, Segun, okay. Since this announcement, you are the person with an NGO that monitors police affairs and the connection with society and the whole dialectics in that axis. I'd like to ask you, what have you observed in terms of the response of policemen with this announcement? Are they excited, or they are just in a wait-and-see mood? Do you have any feedback in that regard?
Yes. I've been engaging police officers across Nigeria and also from the force headquarters as well, and also on the road, because I still get calls every day on highways and the rest, and I keep engaging police officers. And I must say that their reaction is nuanced. It is neither white nor black. It is nuanced because they've experienced government policies, they've experienced government promises over the years, and they are yet to see any that has actually touched base with them. But with this, there are they are confident enough because of the consistency of the advocacy, which is the first of its kind, to actually care about their well-being, to care about their career path, that cares about their welfare, to the point where we are monitoring, in fact, we are facilitating laws, bills, then laws, and then also the implementation of same that ensures that police and the society come together and have the necessary handshake that will bring about the Nigerian civilization as a whole, which most of our youth have not yet experienced, where police officers can be seen as protectors of society and not oppressors of society. And again, like I said, the police themselves are victims of society, just as the youth themselves are victims of police. So if we can bridge that particular gap, things can come together. So police know that this is all about them. It is all for their good. Because if there's no peace with the society and the police engagement, there will not be peace for police themselves, and there will not be appreciation. Police want to be appreciated. But again, the question now is, are we all ready to take responsibility, to take action from where we stand, whether you're a police officer or you're a citizen, to do the needful so that we can see a kind of society that is worthy of bequeathing to our children's children and generations unborn. So that's exactly the journey we are on. It is not a sprint, it is a marathon, Dr. Abati.
Okay, but let's deal with one other fundamental issue. I've seen some commentators saying that, look, okay, increasing salaries and promising policemen that they will have a better time under the present arrangement is not the issue. They think that the Nigerian police, the kind of reform that is required, is a complete decentralization, the creation of state police. And we have seen in the example of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, for example. I was a pioneer member of the board of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. But I'm not asking a biased question. I'm not prejudiced in any way. This is just journalism. They are saying that, look, if we have that kind of model and the state governments take charge, that policemen will have a better, career. Do you agree with that?
Well, I will agree partially, but I just need to say something. There are so many good ideas, wonderful ideas, like community principle of community policing, intelligence-led policing. There are so many wonderful ideas out there. But again, we need to look at, like Yorubas will say, that we look at the home and the culture before we name a child. The same way you need to look at your society. Look at the level of exposure of your society, and again, the societal needs, before you can bring in policies that seem very good, on the face value, without considering some elements that can actually turn that particular good idea into something evil. For example, the NSAS advocacy itself, it wasn't designed as a riot, as a protest, or as anything. So, for example, you can see when peaceful protesters were doing their own thing, and some other people were looting shops. We will then say, the citizens' engagement of police or this citizens' demonstration of discontent is chaotic. Will you say they are outlaws? Will you say they are bad, or it's evil, or people should not gather, or we should change the law so that people cannot express themselves again? No. So which is to say that sometimes when we have a good idea, like something like state policing, for example, and so why can we not implement that? But again, are we right for it is the question. What are we not doing? Forget if people are saying, we should decentralize the police system. The police system is already decentralized. We have the divisional police structure. We have the area commands. We have the zonal commands. We have the state commands. We have the federal. So it is already decentralized. We have a sitting zonal commander. We have a sitting police in every state. So whether you like it or not, the police has been decentralized. But if you are saying that you want the police, each state to have its own police system as controlled by the political head, that is the chief security officer of the state, it's another discussion, which will require legislation. And anything that has to do with legislation, Dr. Abati, you know this very well, that it takes a lot of time because there is no political will or proper understanding or clear-cut engagement of the public and their representative enough to push that through. We know what we saw to bring about the Police Act, to bring about the reformation or the reformation of that particular act of 1943, to bring about the 2020 act as we were, to bring about consensus between the House of Representatives and the state and the Senate is a tough task. It is not something you can finish under one particular administration. We started these talks during Saraki Dogara period, and it ended under Gbajabiamila. And so if you are talking about state policing now, who knows where this is going to take us to? So it's not something that can happen overnight. And a lot of, because it has to do with politics, it takes longer time because a lot of factors will be considered. This is a country where we can hardly give women a bill that actually gives them equality, so to say. So that the way you're dealing with issues of security, it takes a longer deliberation, and it's not as clear-cut as people see it, that what does it take? Just declare state policing? No. Because if we're going to go that far in declaring state policing, we can as well allow every region to manage their resources. Because if the federal government is still owing money, is the state government that's going to be able to handle policing? So there are so many questions there. It's not as clear-cut for those who understand what happens within the system. But I believe we will get there, Dr. Abati.
Segun, I know we started a little bit behind schedule. Well, I'll just ask you one or two more questions, and then we'll throw the lines open so that you can respond to other people's perspectives. Maybe I will just ask one question. Now, after the panel on which you served submitted its report, that's the Justice Doris Okuwobi panel on police brutality and the Lekki toll gate incident of October 2020. There was a lot of back and forth, furore, they call it in English language. And the governor of Lagos State wanted the peace walk. People kicked against it. You stood up and said you were supporting the governor of Lagos State. What's your take on all of that? Because that report was quite controversial. Quickly, so Dr. that we can have other people's views. Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Abati, in Nigeria, when you say A, they are going to tell you, they are going to report it as if you said A to Z. My statement was very clear. I said, I will work with anybody, capital letter, anybody who stands for peace. And a lot of people argued that they want justice before peace. You see, there is a problem with our society. Our society always believes in the things that have been programmed into them without clear understanding of what happened. You see, what happened at the panel was short of a miracle, was nothing short of a miracle, more like it was nothing short of a miracle. Because in the history of the Nigerian judiciary, as aware, when you talk about justice, justice is not, the definition of justice in the Nigerian context is still on the table. It has not been finalized. Because how do you explain? Because if I want to take you back to the elder who was accused of being built a house by another elder, who was saying that he went to court because DSS broke into his gate and everything, and they ruled in his favor a particular sum of money. You had the judgment sum, and to date, federal government has not paid that money. Is that justice? You're saying you want justice, you want to live in a chaotic environment, you don't want peace until justice comes. Do you know the cost of justice in this country? Because the cost of justice in Nigeria today is nuanced. For example, if somebody whose daughter was shot by a policeman wielding AK-47 will have different definition of justice because number one, the daughter cannot come back. So what else can you give the family as succor to show that government is actually sorry? They've taken responsibility for what has happened, and they are willing to part away with something that will hurt them and not to assuage the feelings of that family. You could come in money form, you could come in building of a house, you could come in leaving something as a memorabilia or something for the daughter or anything. You could name a hall after the person. It could come in various sizes and various forms. So you are saying you want justice. Do you know how long it takes to prosecute justice in Nigeria? So what we did with the panel, where people came in with petitions in biblical figures, and they got heard, and the people who assaulted them, or the people that wronged them, were brought to book, and they were given compensations, and they touched the check, and they cashed the money within the same year. It's a miracle in this country. It is a miracle. And for you to think that is what justice is, and that justice, yes, it is never by faith. And we cannot We couldn't have achieved that without the cooperation of the state. And what is their cooperation? They did not interfere in the affairs of the judicial panel. It was indeed an independent panel. So when the governor said that he wants to work for peace, this is not the first time he has been saying that. He said that on the campaign, on the protest ground too, when he went to engage the protesters, asking them what their demands are, that he is ready to take their demands to the president, which he did. And I'm not making a case for the governor. I'm just trying to clear the air of what is happening here. Segun Awosanya is an advocate. I am not a politician. I am not partisan. I am not a musician. I am not an entertainer. I am not an alue. I am not looking for the validation of any external forces to be myself. I am Segalink for good. Whether you accept it or not, there are some things you cannot take away from me. I have age on my side and I have authority on my side. An authority in the things that I'm passionate about 4 generations unborn. I am not fighting for this generation. I am fighting for the generation of my children's children. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why I put my life on the line as of 2017, when nobody can even report police assault against them. When people are disappearing left and right and center, we stood our ground to ensure that impunity is cut short in this country. So I don't need the applause or the criticism of people I will never go to for advice. So what I'm saying, when I said I will work with anybody who is working for peace, I meant anybody. Because I know that soon a group will come together and say that they want to protest and march peacefully towards the full implementation of the recommendations of the panel. I will work with them. And since the governor have decided to start up the work thing, I said it is a good thing. It will even be an opportunity, because you cannot invite me to come and work with you and not give me the right to address you, before the match starts. And I was hoping that when that happens, I will be able to tell the governor some hard truths that a lot of people may not be able to tell him. And so that's an opportunity there. But again, all the other people who were invited, apart from Mr. Dele Farotumi, who is a wonderful elder and friend that I respect a great lot, who has his own reasons for saying he's not going to work. Because he has a petition pending before the city of Lagos over some people plotting against his life. And that petition has not been agreed. And certain people who are indicted in that petition were mentioned also to come and work. So he said he was not going to work with murderers. So he has his right to protest. I can't speak for the other younger ones, because there's a decade in between us. In my village, I can fit in a population of a village in between 10 years difference in age. So their experience is not my experience. I'm not a dancer. I don't need anybody to like my page or to like anything I put out there. So I don't need their approval or not to do what I know, because they are not saying what I'm saying. So my decision to work with anybody who stands for peace is very clear. It is clear to the blind and is audible to the deaf, because I am a statesman, whether you like it or not. And I am me. I am not a political officer. I'm not. So there's no betrayal anywhere. This is a generation that has no leader. So what is betrayal if you are not your leader? So I am me, and I have the right, because again, if you are saying that you're fighting against tyranny, if you're fighting against tyranny, fighting against whatever, you must also be tolerant enough for people who will not agree with you. Because if you are being belligerent, abusive, insultive against people who simply disagree with you, then it shows you are not different from the demons you're fighting.
Hello,
so
Segun.
This is the issue that Nigeria must understand.
Hello, Segun. The dashboard before me here is blinking, quite endlessly. But I think maybe we should just shift the conversation a little bit away from you and I having a conversation, and we may need to extend it just by a few minutes. First,
no problem.
There's someone here on Zoom. I'm sure more people could have joined us if we didn't have technical problems. This is Professor Kemi Rotimi. Professor Kemi Rotimi is one of the leading, historians on police matters, security matters in Nigeria. And he's put a question here. He says, just a moment. He says, how does, trying to read from the laptop, it's a bit far away from me. Okay, here we go. He says, how does Segun react to the fact that under 2 years of the police trust fund, its top officials are already being quizzed by the ICPC for financial improprieties. Professor Kemi Rutimi, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Okay, we're giving policemen more money now, but we had a trust fund set up, and the people there, Professor Rutimi informs us, and he should know, because this is his field of study, and inquiry, and examination, and he says, what do you think?
Yeah, Professor is right on point. You remember that after we succeeded getting the president to sign the police trust fund bill into law, it took some time for him to even appoint the head of that to administer that particular fund. And when he eventually did, there were caveats, there were warnings that we do not want to use the same mindset that created the problem to solve the problem. In other words, we should wean ourselves from using retired police officers, retired CPs, retired IGPs to monitor or implement policies for police. But again, I believe our political system never learns until their hands are burnt. And that is exactly what has happened. It wasn't even long before the appointment of the administrator, before ICPC started looking into them. And that proves exactly what we want about. And I believe that the presidency have taken a lesson out of that. And I hope that future appointments will not go this way. And that's exactly how I'm going to react to that. Because we've mentioned this over and over. I said it on our rise. I said it across board. But again, they went ahead and did what they need to do.
Okay, very quickly, Segun Awosanya, we have callers on the line. Let's take the views and comments and questions from persons who have been listening to us across the world. Hello?
Hello, Dr. Reuben Abati.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. I want to ask guest a question. Number one, I want to ask this, we've had series of NIIG, and many of them are came in, they always tell us, oh, there's not going to be any roadblock, But I want to let you understand that from Lagos to Anambra, that is get to the Niger Delta, it's over 60-something roadblocks. I mean, you can imagine where you have, in fact, from Anambra, from Benin, or Delta to Anambra, it's over 25 roadblocks. So what is the IG doing about it? Every time we hear IG, they come, they'll tell you there's no roadblock, there's not going to be any roadblock. Yeah, this thing, what are they doing about it? Is there any roads at all there? Or what are they doing to see that this is because it doesn't give. That's my question to him. Thank you.
Okay, Segun, I'm sure you heard him. But before you respond to him, let me quickly take this comment on WhatsApp from Adegboyega Adedeji, one of our regular respondents on this program. He says, police salary increase announced by the federal government is long overdue, but will it end police brutality and police harassment? In a situation where the police seize phones and laptops are more dangerous and criminal than guns, I think the salary increase of the police is just by the way. Other civil servants get their salaries increased, but that doesn't end corruption in the civil service. How much is the increase compared to senators, House of Representatives, and what they take home? Most of these police officers would rather want to be attached to celebrities, politicians, elites, than to be at their duty posts serving the Nigerian community. Adegboyega Adedeji. So 2 reactions there. Over to you, Segun.
Thank you. Nigerians are right, and they've observed rightly also as far as toll points and roadblocks are concerned. It has become a religion. And I think every IG, when they come in, it's a song they sing. It's a hymn now that you hear them say that they're going to dismantle roadblocks and this and that. And then the next day after that announcement, it seems as though every time they say that, they are more or less saying increase the roadblocks and the rest. And we're still seeing roadblocks all over the place as if we're at war. And I believe that a constructive engagement of the current IG will be done in this regard, or must have been done in this regard, and will continue to be done in this respect. But again, there are still internal crises here and there, especially in the IG's office, that are being addressed as we speak. And I think until we address that problem, we will not be able to even bring people to book who are responsible for these roadblocks. And that's talking about the police complaint response unit, which the Police Act of 2020 itself has empowered to look into police misconduct. Because as aware, there are elements within the system who probably must have been burnt by certain investigation that are trying to bury a complaint response unit, which is more or less the lifeline of Nigerian youth. That's the place where we channel all their calls to, so that police officers who have been reported or who have been captured by video evidence on social media and the rest are investigated thoroughly and brought to book. But people who are supporting and reinforcing that impunity have gotten the IG to relegate that particular unit against constitutional provisions. So they've gotten the IG, so they've smuggled that provision into the IG's speeches and into the IG's orders, such that anyone who contravenes or who tries to do anything that constitutionally right will be disobeying the IG. So that's exactly how they've done it. And these are people who I was told were directly monitoring or administering the processes of the IG's office. So a major investigation is actually ongoing in there. And until that is resolved, we cannot even begin to look at the police rogue officers who are on the highways, who are creating roadblocks here and there.
Okay, thank you, Segun. Looks like we have another caller on the line. Please go ahead very quickly, and please be brief.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Hello.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Please go ahead.
I'm hearing you. This is Tayo calling from Oba. Doctor, if they give 1,000,000% to police salary, it doesn't make any sense. We cannot be running a democratic institution and we are anything better for us. What is democracy? Democracy is about check and balances. Democracy means you cannot be the accuser, the judge, and the executioner. Then when we are running a policing institution, they will accuse you, they will arrest you, they will detain you. He is the one that is going to give you bail. It's not done anywhere in the whole world. We have to take that detention, bail, and prosecution away from the police. We have to take it away from the police. Yes, they have the right to accuse, but let another institution like sheriff institution keep the detainees for the court to hear the accusation. Then all these extortions will not exist. They are extorting because they know they have the power, the absolute power that corrupts absolutely, to arrest you, detain you, lock you up, waste your time. You will be forced to give out money. So that is where we are missing it. You talk about the state police. I'm in support of state police, but the executive should not be allowed to form state police. If you think I'm wrong, look at what last man is doing in Lagos. Let the people elect who is going to police them. Once we elect who is going to police us, then all these atrocities will cease. We have to face reality. So, Dr. Abati, I want you to tell me if it is proper for one organization, to accuse, to detain, to give bail, to take you to court. That is too much power. And then if we want welfare for our police, how much is this police contributing to the federation account? Why is it that police all over Europe, America, everywhere, they are issuing tickets, and government is making money from that ticket? Why is it that we in Nigeria, we don't introduce the system whereby they will be issuing tickets?
so that they can make money and their welfare will be taken care of. They are not competent, they are not productive, but you just want to be putting money, thinking that by putting money, the absolute power they gave them, they will not corrupt it absolutely. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. Well, Segun Awosanya, you heard him. He says in Nigeria we tend to throw money at every problem, and we think money can solve the problem. But whereas with the police, there are issues with the criminal justice administration system itself. Earlier on, you talked about impunity, but he is saying that this impunity will not stop because the police as an institution is systemically rigged to fail, to disappoint people, and for police to behave like dictators. Do you agree with them? Do you think just giving them more money will change their orientation?
No, you see, it is not about more money. Remember that the youth of this nation came together, agreed with the advocacy, staged a protest, a national protest, and one of the demands that they had on their 505 was that police salary should be increased. In fact, they wanted the police salary to be increased while they were on the streets as a condition for them to even leave the streets. So if you imagine that, if it was something that was so easy to be done by fiat, it would have been done, but it is not so. Because the system itself, to reform the Nigerian police, it takes a methodical process. It is something that will need a national legal framework, which is why the government legislates before we can have anything that is workable and sustainable. The issue of money here is based on several recommendations from the National Security Summit that was organized by the legislature, by NAS, by the National Assembly, also by the recommendation of the National Judicial Panel of Inquiries across Nigeria. So the issue of money is, number one, to ensure that the initiated police reform program to be led by the presidency and supported by NAS as needed, an executive legislative panel established to this regard, and also a distinct salary scale for the police outside of the unified public service pay was created to reflect the full scale of the work being done by the Nigerian police. You see, what we don't know exists. If you say police don't, the police not a money-making institution. Even though, as that has been said, we have certain licenses that.
Hello? Hello?
National orientation. Yeah. As far as the police is concerned, if Nigerians, I can hear you.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
If Nigerians can go through the Police Act themselves, they will see all these provisions there as will be implemented as we proceed. So this is not something and we can say, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. What we don't know exists. There are provisions for these things. And the law was passed in 2020, before the protest, before October. So I believe if the government can do a proper orientation of the police that Nigerians have now, as against what we used to have, it will go a long way. Let Nigerians see police in a different light. And it will also make police see themselves in a different light. Because we need to continue to do training and retraining for them not to continue to act the way they used to act. You know, even in our offices, when we take people for retreats, they come back to the office and do the things they used to do the way they used to do them. So now we need to enforce this. We need to implement this, fully. And Nigerians need to also collaborate with government to ensure that police are held accountable by understanding what the provisions of the Police Act 2020 says. That way, we will not be assuming that police are given total power to do whatever it is they like. They are not.
As we begin to wind down, I like your, enthusiasm about the police. Maybe I'll begin to conclude that Segun Awosanya is an optimist and is a friend of the police. We'll just take one more call, and after that, we'll round this up. Yes, who is on the line?
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Dr. Abati, good afternoon. And good afternoon to your guest. Mr. Darlington speaking.
Okay, Mr. Darlington.
We cannot get it right with our police, except we go back to the foundation of the Nigerian police. When this police was created in 1861 by the British colonial master, it was for a purpose. And that purpose was to force people to pay tax. It was an enforcement tax force. That was the major reason. And if you look at it, it was not even a Nigerian police initially. It was an Hausa police. Because the first pioneer members of that force were all from the north. Since that time till now, Mr. Abati, has anything changed? The other day, the National Assembly members were crying foul that there is lopsided recruitment in the force. We all saw it. So, except we insulate our forces, both army, navy, police, from politics, we are not going anywhere. Where we copy this democracy from America, the FBI can query an American president. The FBI. We saw what they did to Donald Trump. Can it ever happen here? So we can talk from now till tomorrow, except we all clamor for a police that is neutral, a police that can challenge the minister of a serving government, a police that can query the president. We will never get it right. We will never. So what we are doing here is palliative. As for the 20%, it is just a bribery. Mr. Abati, did you hear me?
I'm listening to you attentively, too.
It is bribery. Election is coming. Where is the money for this new gambit? You have not discussed with the Minister of Finance. The budget planning minister, you have not discussed with him. The accountant general, you did not discuss with him. You just woke up. Where is the money coming from? Where is the money? Remember that when President Buhari went to America the other time, from America he recruited the 6,000 policemen. Up to today, nothing was done. It's just statements, just to placate the police, so that they will do their bidding during the election. That is all. It is not going to happen.
Yeah, Mr. Darlington, thank you very much. I mean, yes, the Nigerian police was first established. Nigeria may not be the right word. In 1820. And in 1879, we had the Hausa Constabulary that had a population of about 1,200 persons. And you also remember that we later had the West African Frontier Force, of which the Nigerian police force was a part. But I think, and this is my personal opinion, that all these attempts to throw ethnicity into everything and to blame the colonialists, shouldn't be part of the conversation. We have had enough time to build a country, to build a nation, to strengthen the state, but some people still go back to it was Hausa, it was Efik, it was the first prison was in Calabar, Look, can we just move this country forward? Segun Awosanya, what do you think as we begin to close the program?
Yeah, Dr. Abati, from the historical context, that we have all forms of, native policing and the rest. And why were we forced to shut them all down? Because of corruption, because of nepotism, because of a lot of, we're giving too much power to ethnic stools and the rest of them. So with that, we decided to centralize and have a Nigerian police structure. But again, we had that with a colonial document or act, which was the 1943 Police Act, which has now been repealed. And we now have a police act that mirrors society in the here and the now, that makes the police, that democratizes the police, that ensures the police follows human rights treaties that are signed by Nigeria across the globe, that also ensures that the police themselves work with agencies and NGOs and other organizations to be able to win trust and also, build capacity. So I don't think we have ever had it this good. So I want to implore the National Orientation Agency, if revamped or if restructured, to go into that act and begin to create awareness so that Nigerians can know what they have. Because if you don't know what you have, you cannot know the value in what you have. We will continue to go back to 18-something to admire what used to happen in the past when we have something in the future that mirrors us here in the now, that can actually work for us and future generations. I believe we will get there, where police will be very independent and all. We are growing into that, but we are not there yet. But we are not where we used to be also. Thank you, Dr. Abati.
Okay, thank you very much, Segun Awosanya. I like the fact that somehow you brought in the National Orientation Agency, and you were saying you hope that it will be revamped or it will be properly funded. Well, I hope also that within whatever resources that is available to that particular strategic agency or government, that the people there will learn to be awake and do their work within whatever limits or challenges they may be dealing with, and they will stop falling asleep, because that's an agency of government which, in my view, is playing possum or is as good as dead, and that is not proactive. I don't know who is there, but whatever they are doing, they are asleep. Thank you very much, Segun Awosanya, for taking time out to join us on this program and to, give us freely your time and attention. Thank you very much indeed. And then I also like to thank all our callers and those who reach out to us on Zoom and Facebook, and also, persons who called in. Remember, the conversation does not end here. You can still reach out to me on my social media account, Reuben Abati. That is at Abati1990 on Instagram. And also, you can reach out to us also, presenter and station, at City 1051 on all social media platforms. For those of you who tuned in late, you don't need to worry. You can visit our YouTube page, City 1051, to watch the entire show. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave comments. And don't forget also to tune in next week at noon for another exciting edition of City Talks. My name is Reuben Abati. The show was produced by Adedoja Allen, Abiodun Odunton, Ayodamola Oludara, Bello Hakim, and Oluwaseun Adetitun. From all of us here in the studio and from Segun Awosanya, popularly known as Segalink, we'd like to thank you very much for joining us this Saturday. We'll be with you again next Saturday. Best wishes.
City Talks with Reuben Abati.